gonna start the recording. So let's start with what the heck? Where is this screen? Oh, there it is. All right, I'm gonna go screen share. Let's start with this one. And I'm gonna pull it into Photoshop because I feel like if I pull it into Photoshop, I can actually, oh, not that one. I can actually work on it.
Well, on the tree spirits, I did put it in Photoshop, and I worked on contrast specifically. But with the tar, I'm not sure if I actually have a picture of what I did in Photoshop. So I'm just curious.
I love what you did with the tar.
Oh, cool.
I really do. I love the way that the whole rock and cave look.
Well, yeah,
it's really beautiful.
Oh, good. I mean, I love it. I love the tar. I'm just trying.
It's gorgeous. I mean, I love it for your work. I love it for anything too that sort of it recreates like the wood or rock feeling like so well. And all of your textures here are beautiful. Like all of your incising and all of your work is really, really gorgeous. Okay, so let's talk for a second about their hair.
Okay.
And I mean, this could not be more perfect, Pam. Like, I mean, seriously, like if you just wanted to do a series on trees and rocks, like you've got this like down, like in your pocket. So like I mean, seriously, like sometimes I think like, and this is how it's funny. I think about writing like this now. It's like anything that I can do well, I'm like, oh my God, I can do that. Like now I can start trying to do things I can't do because like I can do that. Like I can, you know, so like this is, you understand it, you're able to create it, you're able to handle it, it doesn't get out of control, you can fix it. It's like absolutely beautiful. And in a way, it's such a tactile and like deep technique, and it looks so good. It's kind of like, what else do you need? Like it's so beautiful, like you need a lot of other stuff going on because that is so good, right?
I love the texture of that. Yeah,
I love like this whole bottom part is gorgeous. I mean, these look so real. At the bottom, they actually look like 3D, like flying newspapers. Like I don't know how, you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
Okay, so this is my question. These, let's talk about either I was going to talk about the hair, but then like, do you see these pieces that are falling here?
Yeah.
They're in like a light gray tone. And like, what would happen? Let me just try something. I'm just going to try, I'm going to put a little bit of brown on them.
Yeah, I was wondering about if I should put, and I did put some tar on.
But look, do you see how I just put a little bit?
Yeah, okay.
So do you like that? I mean, look at it. I mean, again, the thing about messing around with these in Photoshop before you actually touch the piece is you can kind of like give it a visual test run.
Yeah.
But like, to me, based on like the rule of thirds or like composition, I feel like if those are just light gray, they're sort of like the brain is just like, why are they here and are they connected? Whereas if you take some of the color that's in like the other 2/3 of the piece and you just add a little bit of that brown on them, it just makes them feel like they're part of that rock. Like maybe there's an avalanche, but they're just more connected to the whole thing.
Okay, and you're saying do it with color, because I was putting some tar, if you see out in the upper right, I was trying to push the tar into the holes.
Well, let me ask you this. Okay, so what I think should start to happen for you is that in your brain, you're going to have, it's all about problem solving, right? The thing about art is it's like, and it's not a problem like we're used to, like the car's broken. It's not that type of a problem. It's an art problem. It's like, is the composition working? Is the contrast working? Are the colors working? Are the shapes working? Like, those are the types of problems we're discussing. So for me, when they were gray, they were like just disconnected from the rest of the piece. So the idea is that they're part of this maybe falling off. However you do it just has to be successful for you. So it's like whatever is easiest. So to me, the easiest thing would be able to not use tar, because they're small pieces. The easiest thing might be to make a nice brown in a pigment stick.
Okay. Yeah. And
take a little paintbrush or a Q-tip or something and put it on, because they're small little pieces, put it in there and then rub it in with a paper towel.
So not over the whole thing.
They're not on the white, just over like in certain parts of these little objects.
Okay, in the object. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was my question. Should I, to me, it doesn't feel integrated now. There's contrast, but it wasn't integrated. So I shouldn't try and put a little bit of gray, not gray, brown.
Well, wait, I'm undoing what I just did, but you can kind of see like how much better it looks even with a little bit of brown. I took like a light tone of brown, but I actually think that they could be like,
it could be more like this yellow brown at the tar.
or this color right here. But like you could make that brown.
Okay.
You could make that brown with a you could make that brown with mixing pigment sticks. You could make it with a little bit of pan pastel, right?
Okay.
So do you see how, look, I put a darker tone in there?
Oh, I see. Yeah.
I mean, you can use any browns that sort of look like, it's like when we've talked about this before, sort of like bouncing the light around. You know, you have like a color over here. Do you see how much nicer they look?
Yeah, that is. It makes a lot more sense.
So here's a little bit of that darker brown. I mean, any of these colors on the left will work as a little, just a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, on the right. Then the other thing that's hard, the other thing that's hard for me is their hair. So their hair is totally blending into the rock color, I think too much. So I might actually just make their hair whiter. Like I might take an oil or a turpentine or something and just take a Q-tip and maybe just remove some of the color.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I mean, so again,
dodge on their strands of hair to highlight.
Right. So again, like the problem is that the hair is getting lost. Okay. So your solution is either to paint the hair by adding more paint, which I think is too hard, or your other option is to remove the paint so that it's like a light color, right? Like off-white or white. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does make sense.
So look, I can actually do it here by just, I'm gonna paint it, but you're gonna, so do you see how, like, if I just add, and this is an option for you too, if you want to add white, but do you see how I'm just like, even if I just bring brightness back to the highlights, it's really,
it's all too monotone. Yeah.
Well, it's just like, it's too, just think about it as like two of the same layers, like it'd be like two pieces of bread instead of bread to peanut butter.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? It'd be like you were just adding, it's like too many pieces of bread. It's like too many similar things on top of each other. So look how much better it looks just by adding, I'm just adding.
Great, looks great.
Yeah, I'm just adding white.
I've done that in Photoshop, you know, with a model's hair. I'll lighten strands just because I don't know, it just makes it come alive.
Yeah, so you see how you're getting like, it's the same as when they highlight our hair, right? Like they go in and they add these layers of color, and it's not all the same color. Like they often like mix the dyes up so that if it was all one color, it just doesn't look like it has any depth or density. Oh, that's like perfect. So again, like listen to, like, you're seeing something and then you're sort of, there's always more than one way to kind of achieve your goal, which is really nice about the encaustics, right? So it's like you can either take the paint away and go back to the black and white tones that you had underneath, or you can add a little bit of white paint.
Okay.
Whichever one you feel more comfortable.
If I'm subtracting, did you say turpentine? What was the other option?
Oh, any type of oil, like.
Okay. All right.
With the tar, you can be using I use vegetable oil, canola.
I have a little jar of it on my table.
Right, but you don't want to make the whole thing like gummy. Like you have to use that carefully. You don't want to use too much. use it on a swab, like on a Q-tip swab.
Okay.
Also, like, this is interesting though too, and I've been actually, when I make digital, you know, reproductions of my pieces, I start to go around. Do you see how I just like cleaned her leg?
Oh, yeah. When, okay, digitally clean it up.
Well, if you want, but technically you could probably clean it up too a little bit with that Q-tip. Like if you have brown smudges on her skin, you might be able to like clean her up a little bit. It doesn't really matter. It's the nature of the encaustic to be,
Yeah.
you know, to look good.
Also the way they are, I mean, they were grimy. So, but yeah, no, I see what you're saying. So I could do that. I could use the vegetable oil to clean up.
Yeah, clean up their body parts a little bit, and you can take a little bit out of a little bit of the brown out of their hair. And then if it's still not contrasty enough, if you're not seeing the hair enough, you know, you can take a little bit of off-white or neutral white on it. You can use a teeny little paintbrush with the pigment sticks. You can literally stick the brush, a paintbrush, into the end of the pigment stick, and you can literally, like, you could draw a line. I mean, you can be pretty exacting with the pigment sticks.
Yeah, that's
You
great.
can get it to take a, you know, a shape or a highlight or something like that.
Great. Yeah, I feel a lot better about that because it felt like it just wasn't there yet. So,
Well, it needed a little bit of pop. Okay, and then the third thing that concerns me is this transition. Right? Do you see this transition right here? So what concerns me is just how bright this line is. And I think we've talked about this before, that I just don't feel, I feel like
it's too, yeah, soften it up.
Well, let's try something. So I'm going to say that it needs to be a gradient. So let's just go with my gut. So I'm going to use a burn tool. And the idea is just to take this down from being bright, this down from being bright white to kind of like a little bit less.
Oh, that looks so much better. Yeah.
So again, like if you were going to translate this into your artwork, you could be using like a graphite gray, or like what other color? A graphite gray to kind of do this. I mean, this is turning green. Do you see how the darkening it's turning it green? I mean, that's not really what I want, although I don't technically mind the green, but I just am liking that it's darker, not so high key, that like that the way those two colors are sitting next to each other. You've heard me say that's my little joke, right? That every color is beautiful depending on who it's sitting next to.
Oh. No, I don't remember that.
And I feel like people are the same. Like, you know, we all kind of like have a reaction to other people. Like, you know, like certain people make you feel really fun and laugh and eat and relaxed, and like, and certain people make you nervous, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not sure I even mind that that's green.
But it looks so much better. Wow.
Well, it just looks more believable. It's like
well, and then it makes her face stand out more.
Right. And so, so this is a really good lesson on how important like light is. And again, do you see how I'm just kind of like popping a little bit of shading, and I'm not specifically just staying in one area. I'm kind of going all along here and even popping it out here a little bit, just so that there's a little bit more of a tonal range all over. Okay, I think that's good.
With the bottom rock, with the tar, it was starting to look like the top, you know, where it was too light. So I purposely went in and did that burning. But I forgot about the top. And now when you've done that, I said, oh, of course. Yeah, of course. It just looks so much better. Great. Okay.
Well, right. I mean, the thing is like, that black space needs to be black because that's the inside of that tree. That's really deep and dark, right? But this other space, now this is something you could think about too. And you made this just a wide open sky, but you know, you could draw a horizon line anywhere. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to leave all this wide open. Like, you could technically draw a horizon line, you know, here, right? Or here. Do you understand? Like, you could make another layer of a landscape. I like this. I like this open space. It's fine with me, but it's a lot of open space. But I think it's good for what you have with the pieces falling down and then, you know, piling up at the bottom. Like, I love that.
I do like it much better with what you've done now.
All right, so I'm gonna save this. Did you write down what I mean, I recorded it.
I was writing, yeah, I was writing it and I'm taking a screen grab on that.
So there were 3 little things at the end that I think just made it, you know, took it to being finished.
Great.
Okay, so you got them. You got them?
Those, yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right, so then I saved this fit the way it is. I'll send this to you too.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, hold on.
Picture.
Oh, that's Vincent. He looks so hairy. He got his winter coat clipped off. So when I look at this picture, I'm like, oh my God, he looks like a hairy monkey. He looks like a monkey.
No, but
see how furry he is? Now he's all clipped.
Yeah.
He's furry here. I know, he's a good boy. He's a good boy. All right, let's see. Let's look at this one. Okay, I love this one. All right, so
I feel like it's not finished yet either.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, but I don't know if you remember, but up at on the left hand, I had it coming, the teal coming up around you, and you said that was disturbing, so I brought it back. And then
I like it just kind of like, yeah, I mean, the only other thing is, and you probably don't want to do this, but if you wanted to add more teal, I feel like it could go it could go straight up like here somewhere.
Where
my cursor is, like.
Oh wait, I don't see. Okay.
Hold on. Like, there could be part of it. Oh wait, I don't know how to do this. Wait, hold on.
Oh, bring it up. So I could actually put more encaustic on, essentially.
Yeah, this isn't, I mean, do you see what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't want but do you see what I'm saying? Like, if you made it a little bit taller.
Yeah, I could do that. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying you need to, but you could. If it goes straight, it makes sense. It's fine if it goes straight up like that. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that shouldn't be too hard.
All right, well, I'm just gonna leave that for now. I mean, the only other thing, now do you see how you have all of these little like nicks on her and stuff?
Well, actually, I purposely pushed the tar in because
I like them. I like them. I mean, here on the top of her head, you could.
Okay.
I mean, you could put just a tiny little bit of white paint there. Just a tiny, because like she doesn't have hair, right? You're not using any hair. She doesn't have any hair.
Oh, she had one of those cuts where she just shaved one side of her hair and then she has long hair on the other side.
Well, I kind of like the androgyny. I like the like almost bald look. I mean, you could technically take that same thing, like that tiny little paintbrush, and if you just put a little bit of white pigment stick here on top and don't blend it in, just literally like brush it on, you could go right over that orange there. Like same here, the thing here, like on her hand.
Orange back too. I think that wasn't right.
You could just take a little bit of white paint and just make this like a little highlighty thing here. Now too, like this orange, I don't mind it either way. I mean, I like that it's sort of organic. I like that it's imperfect. You know, I wouldn't try to make it too perfect. Remember how like, you know, when you first like carved it out and it was so like revealed and stuff, like I actually didn't love it like that. I like it more kind of messy.
Because you said, go ahead.
Well, the thing that it makes me feel like when I look at this is that orange thing is like, you can't tell if it's like she's if she's like solid, like buried with a solid like dirt, or if it's like soft fabric. Like you don't really know if it's solid or you know what I mean? Or soft, like you can't tell, right? So either she's like floating in water or she's like buried in dirt. Do you know what I mean? And it's ambiguous, which I like.
Good. Okay.
Yeah. I wouldn't mess around. I wouldn't try to extend. I think you've got too much to risk here. If you try to do more and you mess up what you have, I think could be upsetting. So I would just leave it.
You mean go ahead and extend the teal more?
No, I wouldn't even. I would leave it.
Oh.
Yeah, I would just leave it. I mean, you don't need to do that. I was just saying that would work compositionally. I wouldn't do it. I think that I think it's too risky.
Okay. Don't do it. Okay. But it's not, I like the line when you have it up there. That to me seems better, but.
Well, if you wanted to try to make something to extend the line, you could melt that in caustic color and use a little brush and just kind of squiggle a line, make it a little bit taller. You mean you like the extension of the line here?
Yeah, I do like it. And the way I did it was lace, but at the edge of the lace. I'm using the edge of the lace, so that's not hard to do at all.
Okay, well, if you feel confident enough to replicate that one more time, that's good. If not, you could just take a little brush and a little bit of that teal and caustic and just kind of make some dots so that you're suggesting it. Again, like, don't force yourself to take anything too literally, right? Because then you're like over trying, and often that causes frustration. Right. So just a little bit in that direction will work.
Okay. Oh, you know, actually something, going back to the tree spirits one, I had trouble, you know, in the lighter area, the cream area on the right-hand side, I had put pigment stick, and I had trouble getting it to be, to really get smooth. You know, I tried melting it, heating it, and I could kind of see where it was on. I'm trying to think what I was doing wrong with that.
Smooth, you mean like flat, or smooth like just even?
Well, both, but mostly like I could kind of see, like if I did something with some cloth to kind of rub it in, or with my finger, I could see. Do you see these lines there?
Yeah, these.
Yeah, and I don't mind the dots, but there were some things where I don't know, I didn't feel like I had really control over it to really cover and make it opaque.
Well, and maybe because you had these little objects here that you've been scraping and stuff.
Maybe there's already so much texture under there.
Yeah, I feel like maybe you made the texture by working on these shapes, kind of like, you know, secondhand texture. And it's such a small area. Like if it was a bigger space, you probably would have been able to just like put another coat of encaustic on there, or do more of the heat gun. I mean, to me, like working in a very small space like this is very challenging, because you've got this object, you've got her elbow, you don't have a big space there to like really smooth it out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Okay.
And
I was wondering why I was having so much trouble getting it.
I think it's just this. I think it's the angle and shape and size of this space that you couldn't really get in there.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
Okay. One thing though, we can talk about, if you try to do, you glued these on the original collage, correct?
Yeah, and some of them, not that one, that was flat, but some of them were like, I crumpled them and then I glued it lightly, but then I put the encaustic over, and it was 3D. I mean, there is
oh, that sounds cool. Right, but okay, so all of those things that you're describing though are all things that are gonna like deter you or take you away from having a smooth surface around, right? All the things you're talking about. But remind me when we get back together after your surgery, if you want to talk about inlaying, right? And I think we've kind of skirted around this topic. So basically what that means is that you don't put those little elements in until you have your wax the way you want it. So you don't glue them to the board.
The elements are later.
The elements are later, so that they're actually in a layer of wax that layer of wax is how you want it, whether it's textured or smooth. And then you could take tweezers, you're literally going to drop those pieces in where you want them, fuse them or cover them with wax and fuse them in so that they're just going to sit closer to the surface, and you can have spent more time sort of perfecting that area in terms of the texture that you want before you add those pieces in.
Okay. I think I did that with the little flowers. I did little tissue paper flowers at the very end of one piece. We had gotten all the dress and the water and blah, blah, blah. And so I did that, but those are tiny little things. I think with this, what I did is, I know what I did. I had on the board, before I put any wax on, I put some, I tinted some gesso with that beige color. So it was really flat. Pasted them on, but then I waxed it, and then I took the wax back. So there was a lot going on, with texture.
Right. Okay. I mean, I think it's like, when there's a lot, when there's a lot going on, it's sort of harder for all of the little parts to get enough attention. So then you almost have to do that sort of hierarchy thing. Like, what's most important to you? Is the most important thing that you make the collage and then figure out how to put the wax on the collage? Or is it like, are you going to wax and collage as you go? Like you kind of just have to prioritize these choices, and then whatever choice you make, there's gonna be consequences, and not in like a bad way, but just like they're gonna, because you glued these things on there, you gave yourself very little working space in between the objects and in between the ladies and the tree. So you didn't have a big area to like really heat gun or scrape, know?
Yeah, I was, well, but I really like what you've done now today to make that work. So even though the background isn't smooth, it all works together now. I feel like it's much more integrated. So
it's just too, again, like at the end, it's like you need to push and pull certain parts, because I always think of encaustic as having like gross motor skills where it can do things over a large area in a general way. But then you have to go back in and sort of fine tune that layer by, pulling out highlights in the hair, or adding a gradient where it's too light, or, making a shading an area so that it actually looks darker or lighter. But you did such a good job with the tar and the texture. I don't mind the texture on the light side. I don't think that needs to be.
Now it feels like it all works together, but it was driving me nuts that I kept trying to smooth it in, and it just wouldn't go in, really. Anyway, it was.
I mean, one of the things you could have done if you really, really are struggling with something you can't get it smooth is you can just take, and I think I talked about this at the workshop a little bit, is you can just take a clear encaustic wax medium coat and go right over.
Oh, okay.
So because you're not adding another color, you're just adding wax. And what that layer of wax can do is it can provide a smooth surface over something that will not go smooth, but it won't really alter the color because it's clear. It'll subdue the color.
Right. Yeah. Okay, that's great. Yeah, that helps if I really want to have it smooth. But I mean, this one's it's rough and tactile anyway, so it doesn't have to be smooth.
Right. Okay.
I was just wondering about that.
I mean, like this one, like if it was too smooth, it wouldn't make sense because I
like this one rough.
It would be too flat. Like if it was too smooth, it would be too flat. And that's the thing too, is you have to sort of, or you will, not even you have to, but you will, with more experience in encaustics, you'll be able to use texture and flat to differentiate language. Like it's a language, it's like meaning of what's happening in the picture. And flat to me usually means like you're like evoking visibility and you're drawing attention to the content, whereas texture is taking away. It has its own content, right? because people are looking at the texture. Like here, when I look at this orange spot, I'm not bored. It's not just plain, it's because it's got all these beautiful textures that are all this movement, like wormholes, or it reminds me of like a piece of wood that's been
Well, it looks like old lacquerware to me. I mean, as soon as I saw that practice piece, I thought, oh, I love that antique lacquerware.
yeah.
So yeah.
And I like that she's like, it's like she's fossilized in there. It's like you've split, cut into wood, and she's like been fossilized into it.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty nice. All right, so
Okay.
I don't want you to feel pressured to add more teal, so you can disregard that comment, or you can try it on your own, but don't feel like you have to.
Okay.
I think this piece is great.
Good.
All right. Did you have any other questions about this one?
No. I wanted to, get your input because I didn't feel like it was quite finished yet. So.
I think it is. And it reminds me, do you ever look at Marcy, my friend Marcy's work?
No, I don't think so.
Let me show you quickly, Marcy. She and I teach workshops together. We met at the Encaustic Castle. She does like drawings and adds encaustic wax. Like this is her work. So she does charcoal drawings and cuts the figures out and then glues them to the panel and then paints these environments with encaustic.
Oh, that's interesting.
And this one reminds me of your orange lady a lot. There's an orange one. Wait, I have actually, oh, here, I'll get it. I have actually an orange one she did. This one here. And she is, I just made the whole wall. So this is her. And she did like a smoother.
Oh. Wow. Yeah. So that she cut out the figure, the charcoal figure.
Mm-hmm. And she does a layer of wax medium, and then she takes the figure and infuses it, like infuses it in the layer of wax, and then adds the orange encaustic. Okay,
so the layer of just the wax medium, and then cut out.
Yeah, so if I did a figure for you on rice paper, then you cut her out, then you lay it, you can do your wax medium, then put your figure on, use your heat gun, and then do the encaustic color. And then see these, remember how I was talking about your little pieces in your cave piece? So these little pieces of newspaper are see how these are closer to the surface? So they got in, she attached them with the wax. She used the heat gun, heat up the wax, put the paper down, put a little wax over, and then heated them into there. So they're adhered with wax.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah, and then I just actually worked with another artist this week where if you're, line is important to you, then you can use a woody crayon to draw on this surface to reiterate your line. But this looks like a photograph to me. I mean, that's the thing about when people can draw and make stuff look like photography, I just go nuts. I'm like, doesn't this look like a photo?
Yeah, and there's no way I could do something like that. Wait, what's Marcy's last name?
Oh, here, I'll put it in the chat. Yeah, she and I are teaching a workshop together here in Philadelphia in June. In my studio, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, Marcy. And she teaches in the Baltimore area. She teaches online too. She's amazing. She's just such a true artist. She's awesome.
Marcy, Wolf Hub. Oh, I have seen her name because I remember hearing. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I talk about her a lot because I feel like our works are similar, except our end results are similar, but I feel like our techniques are totally different. You know what I mean? Like she I mean, I'm a photographer and she's a drawer. But like this one reminds me a little bit too, like of even your tree people, where she's really created this environment for the figure.
Mm. Hmm.
And she has a lot of texture and incising and color.
Hmm.
Landscape. This one's pretty cool though too, with the
Yeah.
sunflower.
Wow.
All right. So let's go back to let's look at this one of
The grandmother.
yeah. Okay. So tell me what's going on. How do you feel?
I feel like it's too busy. I'd like to have something that would kind of bring it all together.
Mhm.
I feel like the upper left is too light up there. That doesn't make sense to me. I don't know if I like, yeah, I mean, but there are some things I really like. I mean, I had the gradation of the dark purple up to lighter, and then I thought, well, I'll just put this green on one side, and I like that a lot. I played around with putting overlaying different stencil textures, and I kind of like that. I don't think the greens really work. I was trying different greens.
Okay. So
Yeah.
so let's wait. I love certain, let me work on it in Photoshop. So I love certain aspects. I really like this piece, and I like how you created this gradient and you have this I love this space here.
Cool.
I
Okay.
feel like this side on her head is too heavy.
I do too. Yeah.
So it's almost like it's like a heavy weight on this, and it's like the density of the stencil and the color of the stencil. I also feel like this area at the bottom doesn't make sense. It's almost like too many small pieces.
Yeah.
Like if anything, it would be maybe more beneficial if it was just like one big piece. And I think it's too like circular. So I think under her head here, you have a nice collage element here.
Yeah, I like that.
Right. So the first thing that I would do would be to like scrape this down. I mean, I'm just gonna take it off because I can't scrape down to the next layer because I don't have like a Photoshop. But see how if I even get rid of that one.
Oh yeah.
I mean, look how much better that is. Just that one. And you could, scrape it down to let this cool stencil. But like, do you see, look at this. Like, look at this part right here.
Yeah. Oh, that's, yeah.
Like, that's really beautiful.
I really like that. Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's what.
But this is where if you scrape down the wax and you kind of get these two layers to work together rather than competing, right? So when you put that dark flower in, then it's kind of like it became the boss, and it wasn't communicating with the underneath layer. It was just sitting on top being like, I'm the boss. So if you take the razor blade and start breaking it down, you might need a little heat and like heat it and then scrape it. Then you're sort of getting a little bit of that stencil, but also a little bit of the flowers underneath.
Yeah, no, I really like that. Yeah.
Okay. And then like this one is fine. It can stay here. Now, I wouldn't scrape off near her face, but one of the things that you can do is you can weave your layers. So I'm going to take the color, the gray, and rather than struggle and try to get rid of that yellow flower, what if you just take the gray paint and just go over the yellow to go back to her hair?
Okay.
So, right. So rather than scrape it off, right, just make it gray, so that her hair is coming forward.
Okay.
So that's what I'm talking about when I talk about weaving, is that you don't actually have to like do anything drastic. You're just going to bring the hair layer over that stencil layer and bring her, right? And if you wanted to, you could scrape off this little bit of yellow here.
Yeah. Okay.
Or put white on there. I mean, so that's much better. The other thing that I'm wondering about is this becomes an interesting area here, is because now this could be a, I'm just going to draw it with a line. Hang on. This could become almost like a opportunity to make her torso or her chest. So you created a space here that basically is like at the top of her dress. So I would go with that and like make that a bodice so that she's not just a floating head. So I'm going to do it with the burning tool. And maybe if it's a darker color, you either have to figure out what do you know, I'm talking about this space right here.
Yeah, right, right.
So now these flowers, so this is going to go behind, right? And it could go like it could go behind here.
Oh, I see what you're doing. Oh,
right. So now you're kind of making her like more than just a floating head. You're actually giving her like a presence in this environment. And that darkness is like toning down that dark purple that you used. Right?
Wow, I really like that.
So do you like that? And then what it did too is it made this become like an open space and this become like a solid.
Oh yeah. Oh, so they're set off. That one's dark and one's light.
Yeah, and that's beautiful. I don't mind the lightness up here.
You don't. Oh, okay.
It's fine.
Well,
And
the way you've graduated the top now, it flows into it. So it's not like this. Oh, what's that light area doing up there? You've graduated it. So yeah.
No, and it's interesting because it's kind of like this suggestion of the bodice, but no definition to the bottom. Looks like the flowers are kind of forming together, and then she's like they're emerging from the flowers, right? And she's sort of popping out. Now this side over here, I think it's fine. I mean, I don't know. If anything, I would go. Let's just see something.
You said you're on the right side now?
Just like down here. I mean, maybe this just goes, do you see how I just lightened it?
Okay.
I mean, maybe that just needs to go lighter. Everything on this side just needs to go lighter.
Oh, okay.
Right?
The whole right side, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. And then up here too.
Now, what about on the lower left? You're saying that it's too much.
No, I would leave this. Just let it be what it is. I mean, my only other concern is that this green this green is fine, but it's too one color. It needs another color on it. So it's like you either have to take your purple. I just took the purple and add it over the screen a little bit.
No left. Oh,
I feel like when you're doing your stencils, think about the gradient in the stencils.
Okay.
Because you were just using, do you see this whole stencil?
Right.
You use just one color. So so don't forget about gradient. Use a gradient when you stencil. You remember when because when I paint,
I do remember that.
And even when I'm putting the stencil on, like I'll go from light to dark on the stencil, and I'll keep mixing them up.
Okay.
Because
I'm thinking, oh, I'll do colors on top with the pigment stick, but no, I see what you're saying. It would be better. Okay.
And then look, see, I'm gonna go in with a lighter color, and see, even if I add just like lighten this area, you know, so it's just not all one color.
Oh, okay, show me.
I'm just using the dodge tool, but I'm just making some of these areas.
Oh, okay.
And you look, I'm making them just sort of have highlights. Right, so I'm just like little, and you could do this with white paint. See how even these little yellow flowers, I'm just adding another color to them, so they're not just all like yellow balls. You see, like, do you see how that gave it so much more of a pop? See, I added a little bit of white to each of these yellow flowers.
Yeah, wow.
Just so that it's not just one color. You know what I mean?
Wow, what a difference. I was really excited to try this because like it was a more complicated piece than I think I've ever done, but
yeah.
Yeah, but then when I looked at the result last night, I thought,
No, but
I really like how
you gotta remember the whole ugly duckling to swan story. And I always think that my encaustic pieces literally have to go through the ugly duckling phase before they can come out as swans, and so then that's your job though, is to figure out what they need to make that transformation from ugly to beautiful, right? And so, because the encaustic is rough and it's kind of like it's dense, and it's not very flexible. So then you have to kind of like do it, and then you have to sort of fine tune it so that it looks beautiful.
Well, the other thing that's happened here is I started with a gradient going from dark up to light, but what you've done is go back to originally what you have taught us is one side is lighter and one side is darker. So it's like,
right, but you didn't know which side would be which until you actually started to work on it.
Well, I just, I thought, oh, the gradient will do it, but no, it still needs that.
Well, but it did. It got you started and it got you to this place. So it's working for you. Don't give it up. I mean, I think it's fine. It's really working for you. I mean,
oh, and I love the bodice, because that kind of, that just sets the whole thing. Because it bothered me to have her head floating in there, and I didn't know how to ground her.
No, this makes it really beautiful. Now this side over here, now the thing that I sort of start to think about next is how much, so this is not only this is a composition question, but it's like, this has a lot of detail and this has a lot of detail. It's like, do you really want both to be equal? I think one has to
be softer.
Yeah, one has to be softer and one has to be more specific. Also, this area down here, I think is also. So maybe what I would do is take just wax medium and give it a curve like this. You see my tool?
Yeah.
So that you're putting wax medium, you're softening this corner and then going over this.
Wow. Oh, that's
so you're gonna leave it there, but you're just gonna put like a veil over it. And then fuse it and see what it looks like. If you don't like it, you can scrape back. Everything that's under there will stay intact.
Well, so here's something else. Because I know you like to have everything really smooth. This is very 3D. I mean, it's
right,
because there's so much stencil stuff going on. And I remember with the woman that you helped me with at the workshop, it also has that really textured, and I like it. But I'm afraid if I wanted to put it down and then scrape back, I would lose a lot of this. So do you sometimes leave it?
Yeah, you can leave it. You can totally leave it. I often leave things very textured. I tend not to leave like a whole piece super textured. Like I would probably definitely do some translucent glazing. Like technically like this whole right side, you could do like a very, very, very translucent, like light colored glaze over top of it. Which would smooth it, just quiet it down, but leave it intact. I would only leave maybe like, say you have, right now you have 4. I mean, it's almost like you have 4 flower areas here. Hold on. I'm just gonna. So you have this one. You see, I'm gonna circle them. You have this one. You have this one. You technically have this one.
Right.
It's like one whole thing, this whole thing. And then you have this, right?
The lower left. Yeah.
You have this whole. So technically, right now they're all textured, and they're all the same color, right? So everybody's got to get their own identity. They can't all have the same identity. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So some have to be softer and go a little out of focus, go back.
So you could do every other one if you want. You need to pick your rhythm. I mean, honestly, Pam, you're the artist. If you want them all to be that strong, that's all on you. Like if that's your style, I would probably make I would do at least 50% soft and 50% strong.
I like that. I mean, it's much more realistic, and I don't know, it just feels more artistic to do that, to have it soft and then rough, and yeah, no, I like that much better.
Right, so you can pick the two, you can pick, you know, which one, you can pick which two are strong, which two are soft, right? So it's like, it could be, I wouldn't do it side to side. I would do every other one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 1, 2, 3. So it could be 1 and 3 are strong and 2 and 4 and soft. You know what I mean? It could be, this one could be soft and this one could be soft, you know, or this one can be soft. I don't know. You have to decide.
Yeah, okay. Nice.
I definitely think this bottom corner should be soft.
Which bottom corner, the right?
The lower left.
The lower left. Well,
Yeah.
I like the idea of doing the wax and caustic in that curve. So like even having that whole that everything in that curve, once I get the encaustic on it, and
you mean like a clear wax coat?
Yeah, that would soften all of that, and then maybe have the flowers on the upper right really soft, you know, because they're in the background somehow, and just leave those ones near her face, you know, pretty detailed, although maybe that's competing against her face.
Well, remember too, your first thing you're gonna have to do, you should write a list. The first thing you have to do is you're gonna have to scrape back this area above her head. And then after that happens, then you could put an encaustic wax. If you want it, we have like 5 more minutes if you want to do it now. Or if you want to do it on your own.
No, let's write down and I'll do it.
So you're gonna, okay, so this top portion above her head here, you're gonna scrape that back with a razor blade.
Right.
And then let it be like whatever it is. Let it be undefined. Hopefully you'll get a little bit of that picture, that collage element underneath.
Right.
Okay, and then you're going to use encaustic wax medium, and you're going to do like, oh, you have to draw her bodice in. So that's number 2. So you could draw her bodice in with either pan pastels or a pigment stick.
Okay. Okay, I got it.
I think the pan pastels might work better.
I don't know if I have a gray, deep, rich plum color though. I'll have to see what
it's actually gray. If you just add gray to the red, you'll get it. If you add gray pan pastel to the pink, you should get that color.
Okay.
Does that make sense? I mean, try.
Okay.
And then if you need to, you can add a little bit more magenta pan pastel in there. But it's going to be gray and magenta together.
Yeah. All right. And then the third step is the wax medium.
Yeah, something needs to go quiet. I think it's this thing over here.
Well, I don't see your.
I think it's this area on this area.
Somehow I'm not. Oh, okay. Wait, do it again.
I didn't do anything. Wait, hold on. I think it's this area.
Oh, okay.
So you're thinking about sweeping this way, right?
Yeah,
like going this way.
Yeah, but I was also thinking of, I didn't see I see it on the right, but how about coming down to the left? It's on the right and then sweeping around to the lower left.
It's like a semicircle. Yeah, under the bodice, right? Like right here.
Yeah, okay. It is okay. I just didn't see I can't see the motion.
I know. Right. Hold on, wait, let me make this. I'm gonna make this really dark so you can see
it. Now I'm drawing little things.
Be like this, right?
Yeah. That's what I have. Okay.
Those two dark black lines.
I got it. All right.
And that's a nice curve for you too. And that should, lots of wax medium, nice smooth stroke right across there will be perfect.
And then scrape back gently.
And then fuse it, let it sit, scrape it back gently. Some of that might come through, right?
Yeah.
But that's going to make a really nice, almost like, shroud across her. Yeah. And then this will be sharp. This will be soft. This will be sharp. This will be soft. And then you'll have this nice rhythm, right?
I don't see your cursor. That I'm having trouble with that.
Oh, this will be soft.
That the two line. Oh, the softest up above her
Right.
head.
This will be detailed.
Yeah.
This
Okay.
will be soft.
Mm-hmm.
This will be soft.
Mm-hmm.
Be a
Right.
little bit of detail here.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a little bit of detail here. There's a little bit of detail here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then these areas are soft.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that'll be beautiful. I really think we definitely made some magic happen with that bodice.
Yeah, the bodice, boy, that really put it all together. It feels like it makes it come all together.
Wait, do you want me to save this with the shapes on it?
Yeah, yeah, that would
Okay,
be
wait.
great. And I'm gonna do a screen grab, but if you have it in the thing also, that'd be good.
Now I can save this file with all of this drawing on it.
Okay, great.
And remember the weaving, right? So you didn't really have to work too hard. Don't always go, my point is, and I think the lesson from today, you always have choices of how to make something happen.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Right? So pick the easiest way. It's easier to paint over something than to try to scrape it off.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I'm scraping off the tree spirits. That was a lot of work, but okay.
Right, but if you know your line, like think about drawing over,
Yeah, okay.
than scraping off. Does that make sense?
It does. It makes a lot of sense. I'm excited to go at this one because
Oh, good. I think it's really beautiful. I love it.
I feel like,